Hello and welcome to another week's instalment of In the Zone, brought to you by the CTO Zone community and 101 Ways. This week I am lucky enough to be joined by Marcin Zasepa, who's the CTO from Homegate, and someone I've been lucky enough to see progress over the last 12 months. So welcome, Marcin.
Welcome, Jamie. And thanks for right pronunciation of my surname. You got it.
So it only took me 16 goes. So yeah, thanks again for obviously joining today. Just for all the people watching, it'd be great to just get a bit of background on you up to present day, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, Jamie. First of all, thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here and have this conversation with you. When it comes to me, I come originally from Poland, but over the years I moved between different cities in Poland and then also different countries. So I grew up actually in a small village when we didn't have access to internet and in fact even no to PC or whatsoever. So, but I had the chance actually to start programming being 10 years old or so on Commodore, and later I got really jealous about people living in the city and having access to internet, because the only thing we could do is dial in and then count some minutes to download some content and then switch off internet again. So I was really jealous that they can have an instant access to internet. And but actually, yeah, with Commodore and basic programming, I fall in love in general in computers. Of course, a lot of gaming at the very beginning, but then in secondary school with math, physics, and computer science, I kind of were able to develop it further. And I would say I followed pretty say a focused path towards being a software engineer. So after my secondary school, I started studies, again, computer science studies, web technology, and actually I began in Poland and then later studied also in Germany. And yeah, after my studies, actually I was kind of tempted to stay at university and continue my career there, but I decided to go the, say, commercial path. Okay. And yeah, pretty fast it turned out that it's a good decision, because I really enjoyed from the very beginning solving the real problems through the software. I remember my first project was about extending ERP and adding some new functionality, but seeing also how it helps others to coordinate better. That was what I really enjoyed. And then afterwards, I had a pleasure to work for some startups when I kind of see a different world comparing to the enterprise world, when everything is really planned and everything is structured and there is like a much hierarchy, and then going to startup when basically, especially if it's in an early stage, you need to just take on responsibility and deliver and make an impact within shortest time. And that was kind of really like, whoa, a surprise moment to me, seeing those two different worlds. And then later as a consultant, because pretty fast I got on this freelance, so to say, a line, I was able to work for different companies. Actually, that was the reason why I changed to be a freelancer, just to have an opportunity to see different worlds and to switch back and forth between those, right? Rather than staying in one company for a long time. And yeah, eventually I end up here in Zurich after some years, almost 10 years actually, in working in Germany, in Berlin, in Munich, in other cities. And having also own software company, I ended up here in Zurich actually by accident, because it was meant to be a 3-month project. I am already at Homegate over 3 years, and as you mentioned in the introduction, now in the CTO role, which obviously wasn't planned as well. That's how that is.
Yeah, it's having been to Zurich, there could be worse places to be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was one reason why we kind of decided with my wife to come here for 3 months. But out of those 3 months, as I mentioned, we are here already 3 years, and it seems like it's going to be a bit longer.
Yeah. So delving into things then. So before we go a bit kind of deeper into more of your background, but obviously there's something that's happening in the world at the moment. It would be kind of weird not to address. And I imagine a place like Homegate, or even, you know, if you want to think wider in your industry, you've had to make some adaptations. So what are the kind of major adaptations or changes you've had to make over the last kind of 3 or 4 months?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the main one is the way how we work, right? We work all remotely, and that wasn't the case before. So basically, Homegate is a Swiss company, and most of our engineers, 90% of the engineering population is based here in Zurich, and we used to work together in the office, right? We have really nice office here, and we enjoyed also the being here in the office. And then all of a sudden, we had to change, right? And we were in the easier situation comparing to other industries because we are digital, right? And so there was not much to be done from company perspective. Obviously, we supported our employees in organizing chairs and whatever is needed to be able to work, say, over a longer period of time. And it's proved to work very well. And I guess the reason why it's like this is if you have a great people in company, and if you have this trust working every day together, then at the end it doesn't matter where you are. Of course, there are challenges when it comes to communication, when it comes to how to share knowledge. It's even more challenging in being in the leadership position, when you need to find another ways to make an impact, right? But I would say we kind of got there, and we are pretty effective or efficient in the way how we work. However, looking forward, I think to some degree, definitely we will stay in the remote work. I mean, that's at least the decision we have made till end of the year. We will further work remotely. But what I wanted to say is with time, I noticed that remote work is kind of being hyped now, and it's like that's the solution, and and many people mean it. There is no challenges, but I see some challenges, as mentioned before. Having to me personally, but also to others I talk to, and having this personal conversation, not on regular basis, but even from time to time, helps me actually to understand better where we are, what is the feeling, what is generally so how is the environment, right? And then getting also more energy from people. So I'm kind of a person who drives energy from others, like having a conversation with others, and this personal interaction helps me. And I observe it. There are quite many people actually who has the same, and that is why I think we need to find the balance at the end, what works the best. And I don't think that remote exclusively is the way to go.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree actually, because I have seen, obviously there are some with regards to outputs, their productivity is actually in some cases it's been great, but I think the whole team cohesion when you achieve something is celebrated or enjoyed very differently when you are remote, because you don't have the energy of a team together achieving something. It's, even though it is a team together, it's just this a different vibe I've noticed.
Yeah, exactly. You miss this kind of feeling in the air, right? So with these facial expressions, this body language which communicates, enthusiasm, satisfaction, right? And actually this part is, to some extent get lost, right? And yet we know non-verbal communication is very important part of communication, right? And that is, I guess, in fact, a challenging part about remote. But other than that, obviously it gives the flexibility. And we see other challenges, like many companies recognize, okay, now we can reach out to other countries and tap into great talents elsewhere, right? Rather than focusing on say a particular region. And then we see that it's now difficult. Also, we are working with so some of our team members are located in Belgrade, and we see that it's actually difficult now to get new talents because we are now not the only or a few companies being active there, but there are way more companies fighting for those talents.
Exactly. And so let's delve into Homegate a little bit without obviously revealing too much, but I know you, from an engineering point of view, you're trying to achieve some quite pioneering things. Is there anything you'd like to, and you seem quite proud about it, and it's got a good direction. Is there anything you, are able to talk about without giving away all your secrets?
Sure, yeah, I mean, 3 years ago, as mentioned, I joined Homegate, and Homegate was in the state when the company was more, say, top-down, where the decision were made by the top executives around, okay, what is the next thing we're gonna build? And moreover, the whole system was kind of outdated, and with a small amount of engineers, I guess 10 or so at that time, and super inefficient release process, which took like 3 people 2 weeks or so, were very error prone. It was clear that where the future, if there is a future, then it's short, right? And we need to change something. And so we have started with re-engineering of the platform. So by re-engineering, I mean getting rid of this whole monolith, of this whole inefficient process, right? And making sure that we can enable actually efficient engineering. But I mean, the technical or say application re-engineering was only one part of the, or is only one part of the story, because another part, which I think is even more important, is re-engineering of the company culture and the way how we work, right? So as mentioned before, there were only some engineers, not many, and then there was a strict separation between, okay, one group decides what we build, another group build it, and the third group, so to say, operate the thing we built, right? Mm-hmm. And that's not the way how actually, yeah, let's say great people or skilled people want to work, right? And that's not the way how you get or how are you able to innovate and to make an impact out there, right? And so with time, we in fact got to the point where I would say now we can speak about product teams, where products as a cross-functional teams are able to get the problem and find the best solution for the problem and measure the outcome and see how they are doing and take this own ownership, but also, yeah, take them, or I say, drink the champagne at the end, right? A feeling, okay, that's our success, that's not success of someone else. And I guess this part of re-engineering is even more difficult than the technical one. Coming back to technical, what I'm particularly proud of, one thing obviously is that we started 3 years ago with adoption of serverless. And in fact, the new part of the platform, and we are almost done with the re-engineering, is entirely in serverless, and we have now a lot of expertise, a lot of knowledge in this area, and we can see clearly benefits out of it, being more focused on business rather than on tech, and that is what I'm proud of, being part of the decision maker at that time to go this way.
Okay, so let's now go outside of Homegate to a degree. So which technological innovation or advancement will drastically change your business or your industry, do you think, in the next 5 years?
If you mean your industry, you mean real estate, or you mean generally software and...
I could say real estate. Well, if you've got 2 different answers for real estate and industry, that's fine. But real estate is also an area you're in at the moment you may know more about.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, maybe yeah. Let us start with real estate, because this is what we are doing here at Homegate, right? Helping people to find the best place to live, and it's actually difficult to say, right? Because if you the speed of development currently is so immense that it's really like, if we would be 100 years ago, if we would ask the same question 100 years ago, I think it would be like, what will happen in 100 years, more or less, right? Most probably. But if we look at the current technologies available, or say beginning of those, then I think what will really change our industry is virtual reality. And I mean, we learn it now also during this Corona time, during lockdown, when people really cannot go physically to visit the flat, right? And that even with simple solutions like having a video streaming solution, it helps already. But people want to have this real feeling, even if it's virtual. And currently in the virtual reality, it still feels virtual. Yeah. And I guess in the next years, we'll be able to get to the point when this virtual reality feels really real. And I guess this will be a game changer, because if you need to leave your flat, and you will be able to visit maybe, I don't know, 50 apartments virtually, and feel like you have been there and you will have a good impression of how the things look like, then I guess this will be really a game changer. It will make the whole process more efficient, and it will potentially open new possibilities also for us, how to build the platform. So that's definitely when it comes to real estate market. When it comes generally to industry, I mean, on personal note, artificial intelligence, it is meant to be a new electricity, right? As we hear it, and I do believe that's the case, because looking at the current development and how the things can be changed with artificial intelligence. And here, on personal note, I mean, I really don't like drive car. And I find this process of driving a car, especially on a highway, is so boring and so not challenging for your brain. That is the reason why I'm not into it. And now hearing Tesla saying, okay, this year we'll be able to accomplish level 5 self-driving. That's actually what I wish. Maybe not this year, although who knows. But if it happens within the coming years, then I will be really one of the of those who will be really happy about the.
I think there's going to be even just from the advancements of even air going in the air. So there's a company called Lilium. I don't know if you heard of them. That are Berlin and London based. And I think if that technology is adopted in numerous places, even in like Malta, I've been trying to start to speak to the right people to suggest instead of building tunnels or going under the ground, which is obviously a lot more intrusive, then if you can create a system that is fully linked through autonomous vehicles and then air taxi, like large Airbuses, air taxi things to another vehicle to where you want to get, then that's seamless travel. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as there is a solution where you can kind of lay down and then do some creative work while traveling, right? That's actually what I wish would be there, and I feel like we are not that far from there, and I guess that will be an industry changer. Other than that, like thinking maybe less about the software, but more also about say technology and what will be available. I do believe projects like Starlink, where we are talking about giving an internet access to the whole world, rather to say currently, I guess only 60% of the population has an access to internet. So enabling other 40% to have an internet access might potentially discover other talents, right? Because people would have then access to the knowledge and then learn and maybe discover other talents they have and contribute to even accelerating this development and coming with another crazy ideas. So I'm also super excited about this one.
Yeah, that's interesting. So going on more on the personal side then. So what would you say is the best piece of advice you've been given in a work environment or in your career?
A good question. The best advice. It's a bit difficult to answer it because the best to me is kind of absolute, and I think like over the course of the years or over the course of your career or your personal life, different advices matters or have a different meaning, right? And so it is difficult. So, but if you look at the I would say recent ones, I mentioned the part about the product teams and about a culture and I really like the advice said actually by Steve Jobs, I guess. It's better to have a hole than an asshole, which means basically if you have people in your company who do not contribute to good atmosphere, to creative atmosphere, who are potentially really good guys, right? Who develop, who are brilliant, who are smart, but yet they have a bad impact on others, then you should actually not wait too long, but get rid of them, just to make sure that you enable all others people around, and then can tap into what those people have to say, rather than having one who kind of drive it and others being passive or afraid of one. Yeah. So I think that's one which is really appealing to me, also in my role currently. Very often I see companies waiting too long, and the damages are really significant. And to me, it's super important that all people should be able to contribute, to have a voice, to share their ideas, and feel comfortable at work, right at the end. And that is where we spend most of our life.
Have you noticed then differences in terms of going back to the culture thing from your time in Germany to Switzerland? Has there been a more reserved? Is one of them more reserved, or let's say more afraid of making more difficult decisions?
A good question. Thanks for that. In fact, I was recently discussing it even with our head of culture here, because it feels to me like there are many cultural differences when it comes to Switzerland and Swiss guys. I mean, generally, Homegate is very international. We have people from all around the world. I'm not sure how many nationalities, but I guess around 20 nationalities, and that's quite many. But talking about a Swiss culture, it feels to me like sometimes they are too nice, or they are not too direct in sharing the feedback. And while it might be good on the short term, I don't think that's a good thing for say mid or long term, right? Because at the end, no one can improve, and not knowing what is good, what is wrong, it's difficult to navigate, and that might make my role challenging, but also other people. So I guess that's part when I need to still figure out how to get the real message rather than the nice one. And I would say that's the impact, the cultural change.
That's fair. And so that's a nice segue into kind of decision making anyway. So what's been the most difficult decision you've had to make career-wise, or in your work life over the last 10 years, say?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, there were many tough decisions. I mean, generally, I'm kind of a person who push myself out of the comfort zone. So trying to really stimulate the growth and learn new things, and even though I'm new to it, right? And talking about the last difficult decision, it was in fact the CTO role. So it wasn't that easy to me to say, yes, I will go next step. Yes, I will take this responsibility. Because of different reasons. So one reason is I have a son, he's 4 years old, and twins, and they are 1.5 years old. So and there is a lot to do, and then I enjoy also family life, and that's really important to me, not to neglect them. And so that was obviously one question: will I be able to cope with both, having even more work and at the same time a family, knowing that 3 kids, it also needs an attention, right? And also the challenge obviously is I'm able to actually contribute to Homegate. Am I the one with enough experience to actually drive it forward, right? Knowing that we have a vision, that we have a mission, which we have begun 3 years ago, as we just discussed, and feeling this huge responsibility of the role, right? And huge respect also. And that was in fact very difficult. I spent a lot of time discussing about it with myself, but also with my wife, with my colleagues, and eventually I committed, and I think that was a good decision. Maybe we should ask also others, how do they see it? But there is definitely a lot to learn and a lot to improve. But I'm happy to be there where I am and contribute further.
You seem to be balancing it okay, because you haven't got many grey hairs yet. So it seems to be keeping stress at bay. Just.
Yeah. That's true. But I mean, it's as long as this stress is creative and engage you to work, and as long as you, so to say, drive energy out of whatever you have to do, whether it's at home and work, then it's fine, even if it's stressful.
Yeah, of course. Okay, that's good. And in terms of kind of any books or any maybe podcasts, or is there any medium out there that you found extremely useful or really insightful over the last kind of, let's say, from your career, really, that's really helped?
Yeah, I mean, I read a lot of books. Obviously, now with kids and the current job, it's difficult to find the time where you lay back and then read the book and really relax while reading the books, right? So I use a lot of ebooks now, or not ebooks, but the audiobooks, right? When you can listen to it while jogging, while bicycling, while doing basically any other activity, or ironing, right? This is also what I do at home. That way I'm really able to read many books. I remember to start as an engineer with Martin Fowler. Actually, this is I grew up in engineering with Martin Fowler, with Eric Evans, with Michael Feeder, later with some Newman, Uncle Bob, also kind of really radical guy. But at that time, I was seeing him as the only truth, so to say. Later recognized that there is there needs to be balance, but in the early stage, that was the ultimate truth to me. Currently, I'm really more into leadership and management of people, how to do it best. I listen to different podcasts. So ThoughtWorks with their podcast, but also Greg Rochelle about leadership and how to get the best out of people. So there are many things, but generally I do believe that every one of us needs to strive and learn and improve every day. And this is what I'm doing with reading.
Yeah, going back to your point of I think always making yourself uncomfortable. Putting yourself in an uncomfortable position, because then you learn. Then you're like, okay, I need to find the tools to be able to get through this. So I think that's something that's resonates with me especially. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I mean I guess it's like the fact I mentioned about driving a car. It gives it pretty much or emphasizes pretty much, right? Like I like to spend the time creatively and learning things, right? And then that's given when you change the companies as I did it before, or now I'm already really long time at Homegate. I don't think I was that long in any other company, and enjoy still being there, simply because there are enough challenges to develop and contribute, of course.
Yeah, nice. Brilliant. So just to wrap it up then, because I've really enjoyed this. This is actually flown by this half an hour, which is a shame. It's gone so quick. But what's the one thing that you would like to be remembered for?
That's a very philosophical question, but I will answer it a bit differently. So the question is more, what is important to me in life, right? And then of course family. I have really great family and really proud of my sons and my wife. And that's definitely a part I don't, as I mentioned, want to neglect. But generally, when we talk about life and work, I want to be remembered for being honest and humble, and supportive. So that's kind of my personal values. I live, and that is why. If I will reach that people will say, okay, this guy was honest. And then he supported me or helped me grow and give me a chance actually to reach out to maybe something what I wouldn't be able to do without meeting him on my way. That would be great.
Nice. Okay, that's really nice. Wow. Okay, well that's like I said, we'll wrap it up here. I can't thank you enough for joining us, our second instalment of In the Zone, and hopefully we'll see you at a couple of roundtables in the future, whether it be virtual or hopefully in person would be ideal.
Well, Jamie, thanks a lot for the invitation. Really appreciate it. And indeed, I hope for the next invitations for the CTO Zone, meeting other peers and exchanging ideas and just chatting even about not necessarily about software, but other things as well.
And if people want to get hold of you, what's the best way to do it without giving all your details away?
You mean when it comes to my profile? Or
yeah.
So I'm on LinkedIn, so don't hesitate to ping me there. I'm on Twitter. I wish I would be more active. I'm on Medium. I wish I would be more active there to write more blog posts, but in fact, it's difficult to find time. But it's also difficult to me generally to write something within, the time which is affordable. So, but LinkedIn, I guess, is a good starting point.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Well, Marcin, thanks again. I really appreciate the time. Great to almost hang out. But soon we'll do it again in Zurich.
Jamie, thanks a lot. Take care. Have a good afternoon. Bye bye. Ciao.
Ciao.